before. Um, and
You said the key word there,
yeah,
distraction.
yeah. Well, that was it. I mean, like for my personal situation was going downhill fast. I had a marriage that was collapsing, um, and I wanted to take my anger out on anybody I could, and it was safer to do it anonymously on Twitter than it was uh, accidentally killing somebody in real life or getting killed.
Yeah.
And so I did that, and I started meeting some people who were just really smart, kind of cool people. And at the time, it hadn't been ghettoized yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when I finally came back to Twitter after I was separated from my ex and I had got my new house and settled in, I was creating my new life for myself. Um, I only came back because I was kind of lonely,
Yeah.
you know, and it was nice. So I mean, thank you CIA for creating the ghetto that kept me sane when I was in a low spot in my life. I could say, if you for the feds that are listening,
You're
thanks.
welcome.
I appreciate that, but the politics.
Yep.
And in honor of Frank Cohen, the character was created because Frank had an obsession with frogs. A logical set, right? An
Yeah.
ideological. Alex, oh, he had a guest, or he said something about this. Those results, like all this shit is monitored. Your computers, all of it, your phones, they've had access to that shit for over 15 years.
Oh yeah.
Hands down, I used to be able to access people's shit all the time. It was so simple.
Which is so funny because back then I
And-
refused to partake in any of this shit. And
Right,
I told people, like, do you
Yeah.
realize what you're doing?
this stuff, your Intel processor, they've had access to them things since they became multi-core.
Mm.
It's all the way back to the i3, the i5, i7, all that shit's all compromised.
Mm.
So they got Windows down. They can access everything through Windows. Israel writes Windows Security Center. They control all the
That
security
surprised
stuff.
me at all.
So what they do is when they notice a pattern, right? The AI picks up a pattern, right? So this person's searching for this, and he's been doing it on a regular basis. He's this topic, the subject, right?
Yeah.
So then that sets off an alarm algorithm, hub, right? So, and
Cases and kid.
mm-hmm.
They took people who were stupid and impressionable and a little bit weaker. I either would have ended up down there, or I could have easily ended up in another place.
And this brings me right to my speciality, which was counterterrorism, and how terror cells work.
Yep.
This is precisely how they work. The Jews have mastered this. They mastered this centuries ago. You take somebody vulnerable, somebody in a position, somebody, that's like in a weakened state, right? Somebody depressed, somebody with a drug problem, and you take them and you mold them into what you want them to be. And
exactly.
And this is how you got people like one thing, I don't know how public this is, but one thing about like the suicide bombers, and things that they don't tell people is a lot of them are on drugs.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah.
And they got to do that to get them.
Yeah.
A lot of Osama bin Laden. Now, whether you want to debate whether he's alive or not, that too. But let's say they're doing it out of depression. They're doing it out of belonging, sense of belonging.
Even if you take a person who lives their life, they're devout, whatever their religion is, they're devout, they're deeply religious, they have true belief.
They're looking at satellite, exciting stuff. I know, but it is mainly looking. Is that a missile truck moving? Is that evidence? Things like that. It's analysis. It's very. But that was just to finish out. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I asked, well, what do you got? Like, what kind of job? What would the Army give? Oh, like what? Actually, I'll be completely honest. I started off in Corps.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what do you guys got? You know, and they said, well, you could do this, this, and this. I said, I don't like that. Which was very strange. Almost never happened. Took Arabic. And so that I had Korean and Arabic.
That ended up being important.
Yeah. And
they already knew. They already knew.
Well, this was right after the Gulf War.
Yeah.
You know, one was German military, the other was U.S. But and we made peace. Can you believe it? But so they said the lesson they gave me was if the Army offers you a job or training or anything like that, take it.
Yeah.
Because you may not get the chance again, and it'll give you more money. So take it. And so all right. And so I saw the job. Hey, we got an open, some open slots for airborne. Sign me up.
Huh?
So at this time, I'd only flown a few times in my life. I had no. Next thing you know, I'm jumping out of airborne. And immediately after airborne, in fact, during airborne, there were slots open up for air assault.
Yeah.
And so after I finished airborne, I went to air assault, and then I went through Pathfinder, and et cetera, et cetera. And I ended up, I was supposed to go with the 101st, but for whatever reason, the things got switched around, and I got transferred over to the 82nd Airborne. At the time, it was Lieutenant Colonel Shannon. And but I got transferred to the 82nd out of Fort Bragg. And while I was there, I got to being pals with a guy who was always in civilian clothes. And so he offered. He said, you know, I could get you out of what you're doing now if you don't like it, because I wasn't doing much of anything. Pretty boring. Yeah. It was just regular Army stuff, you know. And I says, yeah, I'd like to do something. You know, I'm just kind of on a path to nowheres here, you know. And he says, all right, well, give me your number. I'll get back with you. You know? So like a month goes by. I never see the guy. Whatever. Can I get a phone call? You know, all right. So I go and show up at command. I'm like, well, this is odd. And, you know, and, oh, you got to go see General so-and-so. Oh, really? I don't want to do that. That's the general knows my name. No, I don't even like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
You get above, once you get to major, you start getting kind of, it's all politician. So, yeah. And so I'm like, oh, great. So I get up there and he says, you know, I got a waiver here. I got this and that. You're gonna go this and that. Do this and sign here. I'm like, yes, sir. I sign here. He says, all right, you're gonna ship out for the Q course in 2 weeks. What the hell is that? Okay. So then I get put through this process called selection. In Q course, and next thing you know, I'm training to be a Green Beret. I'm like, well, this is strange. You know, I never expected this. And part after I finished through the qualifier called Q course, I stopped. I was like, enough. You know, this is not what I want to do.
Yeah.
And so I stopped and I went back to my other job. And they said, well, what you can do is you can be an attachment. They call a SOT-A, SOT-A. And you've already qualified for that because you went through the course, all that. But you don't have to go through the rest of the training. You don't have to specialize, right? So, like, you don't have to go through Special Forces specialized, right? You have medic, you have weapons training, you have comms, you have intelligence, you have command. You know, there's different specialties for each. Now, there's some cross training there, but each individual is specialized in a particular, sometimes more than.
Yeah.
But you know,
so
and
this just came in. Okay. Trump fired Chris Krebs as director of cybersecurity and infrastructure security agency.
Finally, people have been begging for that Jew to get fired for months.
Right.
Now he needs to get rid of Christopher Wray and Chad Wolf.
Yeah.
But
And Bitchface and the CIA Haspel.
Haspel's got to go. What he needs to do, and you're going to think I'm crazy because this guy's kind of corrupt too, but honestly, he's a bulldog, an absolute bulldog. He needs to pardon General Flynn and put him in the CIA.
No, I totally
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, I think Flynn is a useful hammer.
He's pissed how he's been
Is
treated.
he ever? Is he
he's
ever?
pissed.
And he'll at least be on Trump's side no matter what. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And not only it's just that he's pissed. He wants payback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do some of the lawyers he picked are in the same category, like Sidney Powell, Giuliani. They want payback.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're pissed.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah.
Powell is like on the warpath.
She ain't messing about. That's a
Giuliani is, you know, he's on point, but he's I don't think he's got. I think Powell has more balls than Giuliani right now.
Yeah, if he was real smart, he'd pardon Flynn, Julian Assange, maybe Snowden.
Snowden's a traitor.
Yeah.
But I come from a different background.
But for optics' sake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If you call me, but if it was me, I would have hanged. But for what he did, but you know, there's some things like that I appreciate. The public needed to know. There were bad things going on that he exposed, but he immediately then went to Russia and gave it all, the whole ball of wax to Russia.
Yeah.
And that's
what you don't do. Yeah.
That's treason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's only one penalty for treason.
Yep.
And that's death. And so, you know, ask the Rosenbergs. Oh, heroes.
There needs to be a lot of people.
Yeah,
there needs to be quite a few people that need to be tried for treason here coming up soon.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, what I wonder about, to get off the Army thing, but that's how I got started. I became attached with a special force. I was attached with 1st Special.
Yeah.
Out of Bragg. And so I saw a lot of things. I didn't necessarily partake because I had a specific job with that group. I carried around big black bulletproof bags, fireproof bags. And I would take laptops and thumb drives and papers and throw them in these bags, lock them up, get them to the helicopter. Yeah. Of course I engaged in firefights. Of course I did those things. But it was about, my job was to collect the intelligence and get that intelligence into the hands of the CIA.
Yeah, my dad was a Vietnam vet, but he was a counterintelligence in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
So he ended up in the field quite a bit, but his job.
Well, and I lost you again. Shit.
And we did things like, you know, I mean, I trained Afghanis. You know, we formed the Northern Alliance. Mm-hmm. You know, we did a lot of things, you know, too. And funny story. I had a lot of. I guess the reason I went down this path to tell you a few of the wake up calls. It really kicked me in the balls about service. And the first one was in Afghanistan, and that was when we had raided a village that was supposedly housing Al Qaeda, and that turned out, you know, possibly true, but they were not there, which there's reasons for that too, and because and this was something I discovered, our operations, a lot of the times, were compromised without and that, again, not proving but circumstantially showing a link between our adversaries and our leaders. The people giving the orders had links to the people that we were fighting. The poppy seed.
Yeah.
And you get all these flowers, and so we're like, okay, well, we know what goes on here.
Yeah, what's funny about that, that's exactly what was going on in Vietnam, too.
That's right. And those, I learned a very, very, well, we all did, learned a very valuable lesson today. we found chemicals in a makeshift built like overhang lean-to storage area.
Yeah.
All these barrels, drums, 50-gallon drums of chemicals that they use to process the paste that they get from the flower.
Yeah.
So we took those chemicals and all that stuff and put it all in a big pile and we blew it to hell. We set it on fire, destroyed it. Within an hour on our RTB, we're coming back and we got a phone call. Wait, well, that's never a good sign. So we get back and we're on a conference call with the DOD and we got the ass chewing, and it really pissed us off as it was by a civilian. I won't say, but we got the ass chewing of a lifetime. How dare you? You are not DEA. You are the U.S. military. Your job is to go after X, Y, and Z. Your job is not drug enforcement. It is not narcotics control. This and that and the other. You don't have the right. You don't have the legal authority. You're all getting Article 50. And we're like, oh, great. And so we learned a valuable lesson. There were certain things that were off limits.
Yeah.
Kill the bad guys. You can do that. But don't you touch those poppy fields.
Yeah, don't touch our drugs.
And there was a reason. The reason that I learned for that wasn't necessarily the illicit drug trade. It was because those fields are, in the Jew legal world, owned by pharmaceutical companies. That's where the opiate comes from for painkillers.
Yeah.
And medications. And so I'm like, well, thanks for the heads up, But so we got pharmaceutical companies in there. We got mining companies in there. We got Chinese and Pakistani intelligence in there. We got Russian intelligence in there. Who the hell are we fighting?
If only some good people in this world could come up with some sort of a synthetic type of opiate that could replace the highly addictive and dangerous morphine and opiate type painkillers. If only there was some group of people who could do something like that. Shit. Oh, well, I think it's too late. I think it's too late now.
Too bad, too, that...
We'll tell everybody it's not addictive until they get addicted.
Yeah. So that was a shout out. That was a shout out to my people.
Yeah,
who invented synthetics.
And now I see people. Oh, it's fentanyl. Well, where does that fentanyl come from? From China.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, why was Chinese intelligence in Afghanistan?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it goes on and on.
Well, especially since they shut down with Sacklers. You know what I mean?
Woo. Yep. And then
first they flooded it with the well, first it was heroin. Then they came in with the Oxycontins. And then when they started shutting the Sacklers down, all of a sudden that's when the fentanyl starts coming in and people start dropping like flies.
Mm-hmm.
That OxyContin, man, what a fucking destructive force that's been.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it started on the Viking, the little stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dude.
Got a toothache? Here, take some of this.
I went, there's only a couple times that in my life I've been to a doctor. But one time I had an infection in my elbow and it swelled up. It was almost the size of a tennis ball and I had to get antibiotics and all this shit. And I went in and that actually took less than 12 hours for it to go from normal kind of reddish to like swole right the fuck up. And they had me on an IV drip of antibiotics and they said, okay, we're going to get you some painkillers. And I was like, no. And they go, well, it doesn't hurt. I'm like, I'm in excruciating pain. I feel like I'm gonna fucking cry. But you're not fucking giving me anything.
Right. Jamie Borsch brought up a good point. The Suboxone too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's all. It's all linked.
Yeah.
We're gonna create the problem, but don't worry, we got the solution at hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because once they get stuck on the Oxycontins, and they'd be like, "Oh, well, just take the Suboxone. You won't get high, and you can wean yourself off." But it did not work that way at all. And
what was the original?
It's even more addictive than the Oxycontin, which was more addictive than the heroin.
what was the original methadone, right?
Yeah, methadone. Yeah,
methadone, which was worse than heroin too, but
well, but it was it was worse in different ways though. Like you don't get hooked on methadone. Nobody gets hooked on methadone. I've talked to drug addicts; they don't want to do it.
Yeah, it makes them sick.
Yeah,
yeah.
It gets them not on it actually, which is the whole point of using it. But yeah, that's the synthetic one that the Germans came up with in leading up to World War II because they didn't have
methadone?
access. Yeah, they didn't have access.
Okay.
They didn't have access to actual opiates.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know this. Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that the Germans in the 1930s came up with.
Oh,
into the 1940s, just for pure lack of having the natural resources.
Absolutely, it's necessity is the mother of invention.
Yes. I was trying to put that phrase together.
Yeah. Sorry.
The other no, I was like I can't find the fucking words, and then you said it. I'm like, thank you.
I'm also rude. I'm from Chicago, so we talk over everybody. We interrupt. I apologize.
You're right.
There's a reason that nobody likes us. You know what I mean?
Right at home on Fren Report. I think that's what we do 90% of the show now.
Yeah. The second big wake up call I had was in Iraq. Mm-hmm. And that was when we started. I got my job switched a little bit, and I started doing some pre-interrogation work.
Oh.
And well, not in the sense of water. I didn't do nothing like that.
No, but I mean, even just having to deal with these people in that kind of capacity.
They referred to them as interviews. So I'm getting information, just basic stuff. Tell me your age, tell me your name, that kind of thing. And I'm writing out a report. Right? And well, anyway, on one of these, we would do what we called snatch and grabs. Right?
Yeah.
So we go in with an HVT.
You guys were doing bear runs?
Oh, I wish.
That was a joke.
We had to go to Dubai for that. But believe me, we did. I don't drink, but I was along for the vacation time.
Well, you said snatch and grab, so that's what you know.
Yeah. Oh, you grabbed the beer and run?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The beer was worth its weight in gold, I'm telling you. But we grabbed these people, and one of these missions, and this started happening more frequently, but this was and it probably happened before this, and I didn't know it. But we get these guys back, and one of them is kind of distant himself in this group, right? We got him on the chopper, and one of them's kind of like not talking, not just, and you learn to preface this a little. You learn to recognize certain types of behavior. When you've done this enough, you learn to know, okay, that person's a talker, that person's this, that person's that, that's the leader, that's the guy in charge, that guy's not. And you could pick this up from body language, from things like this, right? And something was off with this guy. He looked like everybody else, olive skin, short hair, a little bit of beard, thin, average height, nondescript guy, like an Arab. Get him back, and this is where we operated out of the Baghdad International Airport, and that was the area that we were stationed. It was like right outside the green zone. We got this little tiny highway that you had to go down. Oh, it was horrible. Anyway, the drive of death was it's where all the roadside bombs that we set up, shit like that.
Yeah.
And so, any rate, we get him back there, and there's a detention area. This is also where Saddam was held. But anyway, there's a detention area where we'd set up. It was makeshift, chain link fencing, all that kind of stuff. And there was an area where people would get separated for like a processing kind of thing. And this one individual that kind of he caught my attention because he was so nondescript. Right, it didn't fit. Like he wasn't, so he caught my attention. I noticed that when we got to that facility, agents walked up, and the agents all dressed the same. They all looked. It was hilarious. Very stereotypical spooks, right? And they took possession of that guy. Said, okay, yeah, put this guy here, da 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 da. These guys just put in General Pop, put him in there, and I noticed this guy's just hanging out with him. You know, he's just hanging out there, being quiet, and then they walk off with the guy. I don't ever see him again. Like, what the hell was that? But who is this guy? Find out, he's Israeli.
Oh.
There were, and this happened repeatedly, there were Mossad agents.
Yeah.
Were being scooped up by us, unknowing to us at the time.
Yeah.
And we'd take them back, and they'd immediately be, you know, the spooks knew who they were. I'm sure they got the phone call. Hey, you know, how you doing? Just one of our boys just got rounded up, you know. But what I don't know. I wasn't privy to that, so I don't know. But that was right there. I was like, well, what WTF?
Yeah.
You know, why are these Israelis in this? What's going on here? Like, I don't understand. Are they? And so I thought, you know what? I know what. They're spies, right? They're spying on the terrorists. Okay. And then we started realizing, wait a minute, we were just fighting some of these guys. They were shooting at us. You know, they didn't conveniently slip away during the gunfight. No, they're engaging.
Yeah.
So that really, really kind of brought me back to my childhood in a weird way. And I started thinking, man, these mother efforts, you know, and it really like revigorated my focus, like re-energized, you know, and that's when I kind of became woke part 2. Whatever.
Yeah, I imagine when you have the bullets flying at you and you identify who's been shooting at you, it kind of makes you fucking angry with them.
Yeah, and then after that, in one of my more, it's true, and after that, one of my more peaceful areas when we were doing some training, we were training others. We were training some of the Israeli Defense Forces, and they're horrible by it. They're dog shit. I don't know how they get this reputation. I guess because they own the media.
Well, look who they're fighting.
Yeah, they can't hit the broadside of a barn. The friendly fire is like 10 times higher for them than it is for us. They're awful. And so we're trying to teach these people marksmanship. You know, trying to teach them how to work in a formation, work as a team, and they just want to lounge around, joke. There's no discipline.
Yeah.
Like there's no military barrier. I'm like, what is going on here? And then we get one guy, right, who starts. He was a little different, but in that he was more friendly and more approachable, and well, they were all kind of friendly-ish, but they were, you know, he was just more hanging out with us, you know. And we started talking to him. And he's like, "Oh, you guys, you know, they make fun of you guys all the time, you know, they're doing this." And I'm like thinking to myself, these mother effort. Here I am, you know, you can make fun of me all you want, but these guys that I served with were the highest trained, most elite special forces group in existence. And you're telling me you're making fun of these guys? They earned they earned respect throughout the world. Yeah. You know, when foreign governments, like in hostage situations and things, would get on the phone and they'd say, "Oh, so and so's en route," those situations were more often than not resolved before they got there. Yeah, because they didn't want to F with them. And I mean, people hear about SEAL Team 6 and this. These guys would eat SEAL Team 6 for breakfast.
Well, that's that tribal arrogance that we talked about before,
right? And we all have, you know, Rangers.
But there's.
Oh, you mean with the Jews, the tribe?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant between different branches.
No, but there is that too, of course. But I mean, in this specific case, we know what you know.
And they were, and half of them are chicks, and they were just like, you know, we felt degraded.
Yeah.
Quite honest. You know, like this was degrading work, and that was kind of the third thing. It didn't really, not really the third thing, but it just was like the setter, right? You know, you get that quick dry shit, and you got to add the epoxy, and then you got to add the thing that makes it hard, right? And that's kind of what that was. It just hardened my beliefs. I was like, these MFers, I don't like them. I don't like them. And you know, their behavior, their attitude, and so then I really started digging. And I'd be over there overseas reading these books. People are like, the Turner Diary. What the hell is this?
The ultimate Fed Post book.
Yeah. I'm reading all this stuff, and I'm just like getting all this, and I'm like, man, and I can't talk about any of it. I can't do it. I'd be immediately dishonorable,
dude.
like I'd be out of there. But
somebody gave me a specific book, and I remember taking it from him before I realized what it was. He told me what it was, and I took it and I read it. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, cool. And then I was like, oh shit, I literally cannot talk to anybody about this. And going like, there's nobody I know. There's nobody. I don't even know if there's anybody in my greater circle of coworkers, family, people, acquaintances. I don't know if there's one person other than the guy who gave it to me who'd understand why you would ever fucking read that, or let alone possess it.
Yeah, I carry some of this over on Twitter, like I'll Fed post, all the time.
Yeah.
I post pictures of some of my guns and stuff. People are like, oh, dude, the feds are dude. I took a polygraph several times a year for almost 20 years, about 22 years there. I took a polygraph several times a year. They know everything about me.
Yeah.
They know everything. I have a class 3 federal firearms license. They know what I got. I don't give a damn. They know my opinion.
Yeah.
There's a reason, and there's a reason I'm not investigated. There's a reason I don't have my door kicked in, because they know that I'm not a quote extremist. Like I'm not going to go do a terror.
And they can't get you to do one either, and that's the other thing.
No, they don't even.
No, but that's like half of the and we talked about this earlier today, and before. Half of the whole investigative thing isn't even to go, oh, I wonder if this person might do something dangerous. It's, I wonder if we can get this guy to do something dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll be back in a second again. I got to step out for just a second.
Yeah, and I'm kind of shit talking here, but at the same time, there are good people in all these agencies, all these organizations. Whether it's CIA, the FBI, they're not all cut from the same cloth. There are good people, and there are patriots in the organization who try to and spend their careers doing the right thing, upholding the law and doing what's right. But usually they're nameless. Nobody knows. But we know the bad ones come out. But the real patriots just get lost in the whole mix. But the military is a good example of who joins the military going, I'm going to go fight wars for Israel. No one does that. They go join the Israeli army. But people get deceived. Those are usually the people that hold to their newfound beliefs the hardest, because they have personal experience based on. They didn't go to a 4chan or something. They lived it. So, it's a messed up thing to come back and your brothers that died over there. You got brothers over here that commit suicide, and you find out what it's all about. You find out it ain't got nothing to do with our Constitution. It ain't got nothing to do with keeping your family safe. In fact, put your family in more danger. But it's the sad reality. But at the same time, and this is the real pants, is what are you going to do? You're going to not join the military? You're going to tell people not to join? Now what? Now we're defenseless. Now we got no one to keep us safe if things do go wrong. So it's kind of you gotta go for the head. You gotta get the stop dealing with the symptoms and go for the root cause. Get the cancer. Go for the politicians. Go for the like Milley. That Milley's a piece of crap. And get these people out of there. Get them out of there.
Once again, I mean, we do the we keep trying the political solution. I do not want to Fed post here, but we keep trying the political solution, and
it's not going to work.
Yeah, there are ways that it could work, but it's the term. You know the term herding cats.
Oh yeah.
Right now we only have cats, but we have cats that have programming that are like being led. They're being led. They're not just all free individual cats of good standing. They're
and there's a wide gambit too, right? Like people are compromised for different reasons.
Yep.
Some people it's financial. That's a big one. I can't afford. I got to put my kids through college. I got $3 million. I got a government salary, and that's the whole thing, man. They put you in a position, right, where they're going to get at you one way or the other, unless you're completely a man of integrity, and they're going to get you. And most people that are complete of integrity are put into positions that don't.
Years later, go, holy fuck! What was I thinking, dude? Like, realizing my morals, I'd be way further ahead.
Well,
I'm a man. That's not how the world fucking works. And it's kind of a childish mentality, but you know what it is. That's the way I am.
Oh yeah, there's merit doesn't mean it.
No, it doesn't mean shit, dude. I've met and I've talked to a lot of fucking people who have much more credentials and position than I do, and I've fucking yet to be impressed, except by a couple people, and him, do the grunt work from an early age. He knew he was gonna get the business. It's not like
you're gonna start at the bottom and learn it from the bottom up.
But he knew, so I mean, like, it's different. You take a regular Joe and you go, listen, you're gonna get the shit job. You're gonna paint fences, and maybe we'll throw you some crumbs. I mean, I understand that's a little bit harder of it's harder to stick with it because you don't know if you're gonna get shafted or not. So he knew, but I mean, at the same time, he has an older brother, and he got the business ahead of his older brother because he had more. His father said you got more capabilities, so it's once again he didn't come kind of mentally torturing my landlady, and my landlady had begged me to come with her. It is a long story I won't get into now, but I shut them the fuck down. And I remember, I wasn't 16, I was 18. But the one the gal psychiatrist looked at me and said, well, that's I guess I really respect that, that standpoint and whatever. And I was like, I remember looking at her going, I don't give a fuck what you respect. You people are fucking functioning intelligence.
Yeah.
It was they had a middling 110, 150 IQ. They knew the right people.
Who's the father of psychiatry?
Well,
results.
Oh wow.
So they're saying that they're not certifying. His exact quote. Wow, Michigan.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. This is coming along.
So okay, they're at least the state of Michigan saying no. This shit's so contested. We're not going to certify nothing.
Okay, I'm going to defer to you again as a foreigner. That I don't know exactly where you think this system is going to lead you.
Jobs to get the damn votes right. To count
you were
them
supposed
correctly.
to do that in the fucking first place.
Right. Yeah, we ain't paying nothing. You're going to do it or your ass is out and you're fired. And we're going to put somebody in there and we're going to hire some people that are going to do their job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but once again, you guys have this problem with you have the states have their own rights to run their elections and like it's
but you know, do the states have sovereign rights? Do their rights worked out? But
my family was, like I said, all sides of my family fought in the Confederacy.
Yeah,
well, you've been here 400 years, you know. But we were also the Watagans. One of my ancestors actually was the lawyer who wrote the deal with the Cherokee to create the Watauga.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
If we're as long as we're off air, let's just throw. We're talking. Sorry, let me just get this in there.
Let me actually make sure it's not.